Alright guys, TacticalRab again today. I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Scrappy has told all on the situation of joining Los Angeles Thieves for the upcoming year, saying it's basically the best possible scenario that could have happened from his perspective during this off-season, but also revealing that a few years ago, while they were both in challenges, himself and Ghosty did not necessarily get along so well. They had some problems between each other. Now they will be teammates for the new year. Those problems seem to have been resolved, but who knows whether things could potentially stir up behind the scenes on that roster. But also, what about OpTic Crimsix? And whether that's going to be a thing again very shortly indeed. Very much interested in your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Let's talk then about Kremp and what's going on over here. Because the other day we saw it confirmed. It's the champion of the Porsche North American Sprint Series Challenge, whatever it was. And after that, PorscheSprint.com had a nice little article they put out. Here he is in the car. And there's some other great pictures of Kremp in this year's championship. Winning the championship and all this stuff. I think this might have been his first race win, kind of forget now to be honest, but anyway, it was talked about a fair bit and they discussed all sorts of stuff on winning the world championship and making that transition over and what he was talking about. And he had a few things that he said to these guys on the expectations that he's had, saying that he thinks he's significantly better now than he was at the start of the year. Reckoned he's like a half a second a lap quicker than he was at the start of the season, or at least a few months ago. But then how about this, next sentence here? He talks about what he's going to do next and all these other things. It's a nice article to read, but what we really matter about for the competitive Call of Duty perspective is this: racing with Rafa Racing by JDX, and now reunited with his old esports team, OpTic Gaming. He's filling his time creating content online and improving daily. So this article came out on the 24th of September, so a little while ago now, after he'd pretty much just wrapped up the championship basically. But yeah, what do we think about this? Reunited with his old esports team. So sure, he was reunited in some sense when he went to the World Championship in Dallas and he stood there with the boys and he was on the watch party and they did that famous picture with the OpTic Texas team on the left hand side and the OpTic Dynasty on the right hand side. And it's been speculated for some time whether he can come back with OpTic, because he was on FaZe, right, for some time. That was always kind of strange, but he was on FaZe because they started an esports team for RenkoR, this new game which maybe is out now, I don't know. It was like a sim racing game designed just for esports, and there are rumors that all sorts of competitive esports teams were going to try and get into it and field rosters or field sim races, and I never really thought that was a good idea. Kremp was on FaZe's sim racing team then for that, and Kremp didn't do especially well, and he wanted to race real cars, which he did. The FaZe deal ended, and Rafa Racing have been supporting his journey over there. But the question was, well, he's obviously thanking Rafa for what they've done for him in the racing side, but is it possible that he can be with Rafa Racing and also with OpTic? Is it not possible? I don't really know the answers to that question, but this article seems to suggest no, it is possible, and Kremp is reunited with his old team. Whether that's reunited, as I say, in the sense of he goes to see them from time to time, or whether this is more literal, as in reunited, as in he's on the team, right? He's back on OpTic, which is how this reads. I mean, this is how it reads, and it does seem like it's a bit of a leak, isn't it? And, what do we think about that in the comment section below? Because there has therefore been some speculation as to whether this is one of these things that they might announce shortly. We've talked about it. You look at all these guys, Hex in the center, the OpTic Texas team on the left, and then the OpTic Dynasty on the right. Karma is an OpTic coaching the team. Scump's never going to go away from OpTic. Formal's on the OpTic HyDra team this weekend trying to win another Halo World Championship. And Kremp is no longer an OpTic, but he's kind of an OpTic and he still seems to get along with the guys, and Kremp has, it seems, resolved the differences between himself and Formal. They had a bit of drama a few years ago. Of course, himself and Scump had a bit of drama. They resolved that I think it was Black Ops 4, really, they resolved that beef. And, I don't imagine that the way that Kremp spoke about OpTic and the fans and things like this after he left especially pleased Hex, but Hex did say on stream a little while ago that, well, Kremp will always be part of the OpTic family on some level, what he's done for the organization, and kind of he'll always be welcome to some degree. So, which is nice to hear, I think. And it would be nice to see Kremp back at OpTic with all these guys. I think it would be a cool thing for the scene, and would get more content with the OpTic boys involving Kremp, which is always good as far as I'm concerned. So there's just been a bit of speculation whether this is a done deal, and Kremp's been telling people about this, and then it turns out that it found its way into this article that they wrote the other day, that Kremp's coming back to OpTic. And then we've got this legacy match in about a week or so's time where people are then thinking, well, are they going to like announce it at the legacy match? So it literally is a week today, actually. And they're going to run the legacy match and they're going to say, oh, Kremp, welcome back to OpTic or something like that. Maybe it's possible. I don't know. Intrigued to your speculation as ever in the comments section below. If this is true, though, I don't imagine that Hex is especially happy about this. We know that Hex hates any sort of leaks with relation to OpTic, and for very good reason. It is what it is. So the fact that this came out in this article, but then again, it's not like it's a brand new article that's just dropped, I guess. It's been around for a few days at this point. So, you know, maybe there was time to correct it. Maybe there was time to notice before someone else in the community noticed. Intrigued to your thoughts as ever in the comments section below. A couple of things to mention, though, before we get into the Scrappy stuff. Priestahh playing Valorant with Skyz. This is what he does. So, yeah, Priestahh, Skyz, HyDra, Kismet, like, you know, some of those guys will often play Val together with the likes of Nature and others as well. Clay's been getting into the mix as well. It's been kind of fun to see. But, yeah, Priestahh and Skyz back together again is an interesting one in the sense that Priestahh was dropped by these guys, dropped by Skyz after winning the World Championship with the team, and Priestahh felt hard done by about that situation, and for good reason, right? I think he even talked about that he felt like he'd been stabbed in the back, and I don't blame him, because the way that he was handled was very strange, I'm not gonna lie. After they won the World Championship, they replaced him with Sib. Did they have more success? No. I mean, they won an event. Did they win champs? No. So Priestahh will be happy enough with that, and now he's going to be back with Skyz, we're pretty sure, for the new season on the Gentle Mates roster, which is going to be Kismet, Lynz, Priestahh, and Skyz is the rumour. So, sure, there might have been a bit of bad blood here, to be fair, between these two guys after what's happened after 2023, but it seems like that's all kind of behind them. I guess one question on Gentle Mates, really, that I have for you guys in the comments is, what are they going to be called and where are they going to go? Because I updated my video description the other day to put down all the new rumoured teams, and I was going through, you know, Los Angeles Thieves, Vegas Falcons, Carolina Ravens, stuff like this, and then I was like, well, Gentle Mates are coming in, they're replacing the Los Angeles Gorillas. At least as of recording, we don't know what they're going to call themselves, what Gorillas are going to, you know, Gorillas are going to be gone. They're not going to be Gorillas anymore. So Gentle Mates had taken over that Los Angeles spot. Gentle Mates, though, are a French team. So would they want to relocate to Paris? I mean, it's possible. The market is potentially open. Could they get that deal done in time, given that it's already early October and the season's going to start not that long from now? Probably not. I mean, for some reason, the CDL Activision seems to have really early deadlines for lots of these things. But just, let's say it is LA. What are they going to call themselves? The LA Gentle Mates? Is that like, it's just a bit kind of a mouthful, isn't it? But then again, it's been the same with many teams for some time. So maybe that's what they're going to do. I don't know. I guess we'll see shortly enough. But let's talk about what Scrappy has to say, because speaking of the Los Angeles teams, LA Thieves aren't going anywhere, and they are fielding a roster for the new season. So Scrappy takes to youtube.com last night and does an interesting video really talking about everything from his perspective in the off-season. And, I mean, to be honest, his off-season was pretty much as we expected it to be. As soon as the World Cup happened and they bowed out early on in the bracket play, I think again to the Los Angeles Thieves, they were told that, yeah, this ain't going to happen. We can't support your contract. And within 48 hours, it was like a known thing that it was unlikely that Toronto team was going to stay together for next year. We even remember on that Sunday, I think it was Sunday, Saturday, Sunday, I don't know, Monday, I don't know, some day like that anyway, after the World Cup, Insight tweeted out restricted free agent, right? I think it was the Monday after he tweeted out RFA. And that was the point at which everyone on that team knew that that was it, right? There weren't going to be any continuation with Los Angeles Thieves, and Scrappy, CleanX, Insight, and of course Envoy, they all knew that they were potentially up for sale or something was going to be happening there. Insight was the only one to really tweet about it, but it was known day or so after the World Cup that roster was not going to be staying together. So then it was a question of where does Scrappy go? But things were taking their time, right? I mean, Los Angeles Thieves were interested. For some time, the big rumor was that he was going to go to Cloud9 with HyDra, but then all of a sudden, a new opportunity arose of potentially joining 100 Thieves. But then Gentle Mates came in and they tried to swoop in, and actually Scrappy makes it quite clear, I think, here, that the offer that Gentle Mates provided was probably stronger than the offer that Thieves provided. That at least is my read on the situation. Intrigued to your thoughts as ever in the comments below on your perspective, but it's quite evident Thieves were going to pay the buyouts for Scrap, for Envoy, for HyDra, and get them onto their roster. That's what they did. But Gentlemates coming along with a bigger bag, they said, well, we'll buy you out, and we'll relocate you to Texas, guys, and we'll pay you this amount of money. So Scrappy was like, well, that's kind of a no-brainer. It's a much better offer than what Nadeshot can do. And then Nadeshot came back and said, all right, I'll relocate you to Texas, and I'll pay you this amount of money. And my feeling is that it still probably wasn't quite as much as what Gentlemates were offering, but 100 Thieves, they are a known quantity in COD Esports. They've had success in the past. Envoy can vouch for them being a top quality organization in COD. They didn't have those assurances with Gentlemates, and I think probably, as Scrappy says, they've come to the correct decision.
Everyone's saying the offseason was slow. It was slow, like, for me as well, bro. I was stressing, I was waiting. I'm like, bro, what is going on? Yeah, that happens, and then it comes maybe down to like maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Everything started like moving on, and like I finally got where I wanted to be with, you know, organizations. I mean, it's already out there that Gentlemates gave us an offer that, you know, was a really good offer, and it was really hard for us to refuse. And then we kind of let Thieves come back with an offer and see what they could do, and we ended up going with Thieves because honestly, we just thought that Thieves had a better ground foot in COD. We knew that Gentlemates was like a super big team, but I think when it comes to like overall, just like COD, or just everything that I was looking for, and I think that we were looking for, was Thieves. And I think we made a really good choice, to be honest. I think it's probably the best outcome that could have happened for my offseason happened. You know, I got a team that I want to play with, a good organization that I want to be on, and just everything around it that I'm excited to play for the next like 2 years. So it's gonna be a fun one for sure. I'm excited to play. You know, we got Dan, Paco, Dill. I mean, I play with Dill. I know what he brings to a team. You know, it's more than just like in-game stats. If you guys look at it, I know, like, I've seen shit about Dill, but there's more than just stats to a player. And Dill had a little stint last year where he wasn't like meshing in like HP, but like, bro, he brought that around in the end of the season, and he was probably our best player going into champs, or probably at champs. So I wanted to play with Dill. I brought Dill with me. And then obviously Paco. I don't even need to say anything about Paco. The kid's gross. Not only at COD, but I found out just literally any video game he touches, he's godlike at. So I'm excited to play with him. And then we got Dan. Dan, I'm not gonna lie, surprised me these past 2 years. I knew Dan since before like the pro scene, like he was in challengers and shit. So I knew Dan before then. And let me say, I wasn't a big fan of Dan back then, but you know, he's changed my mind. He's a good player, and I can't wait to play with Dan. You know, the intangibles he brings, you know, like calm, just IGL. For how young he is, I'm definitely not an IGL. I just run around and just shit on kids. That's my plan. So I'm excited to have Dan. I'm excited to have all the boys on board, especially with Shane and Troy as our coaches. I just think overall they just bring, you know, just good game sense, IQ, 2 players. And personally, that's who I like being coached by, is like people who played the game, people that understand like the player mindset. You know what I mean? I'm excited for the next, you know, 2 years. It's going to be fun. And hey, at the end of these 2 years, if we win in, just know I'm re-signing that shit and we back on Thieves. All right. In 2 years. We back on Thieves, so don't think anything of it. If we winning and shit's going our way, we re-signing that bitch and we staying here, all right? That's how it's going to go.
So I do think it's interesting in hindsight, looking back at the fact that Gataga was talking about this a little bit at the time and basically said, no, HyDra, definitely not signing HyDra. What are you guys talking about? We're interested in the Call of Duty League spot, but nothing's going to happen here. What I will say is that the other day on the Dope Check show, Ronnie came on, Tedious Tell, and we were talking a bit about this, and he actually said that as far as he's concerned, Gentlemate and Carmine Corp are both interested. Carmine Corp, of course, like, Gentlemate are big in France. Carmine Corp are like Gentlemates on steroids, basically, right? Like, they are next level, and it's interesting that Gentlemate's got the spot. Maybe it's Gataga related, which makes a lot of sense as well. Former Call of Duty player, of course, but equally, they were also interested, we believe, in getting a COD League spot. So there are loads of teams out there that want a spot in the COD League. Like, they know that it's potentially a valuable ecosystem to be a part of, and it's exciting, but it's just, the league isn't expanding. Like, it is what it is. Some of the old owners are still terrible, so they're trying to sell before new organizations come in. It is what it is. But like, if Carmine Corp had come in, then I feel like that would have been a done deal. I feel like maybe Nadeshot couldn't have competed with that, but he was able to compete with this for now. But as obviously, like Scrappy says there, if things go to plan with Thieves, he ain't going to go anywhere. He's not going to go to OpTic, which obviously would be the speculation. And I'm sure it's still going to be talked about for the next couple of seasons. If Thieves have a bad run, and OpTic have a bad run, and FaZe are winning, then it will be like, well, Scrap to OpTic, here we go, HyDra to OpTic. Like, people are going to talk about it. I'm sure they will. But it's obviously doubtful given the respective teams these guys have put together. But also, Scrappy did say, back in the Challengers days, when they're both competing in Challengers, let's say in Vanguard, before Scrappy really got his chance, him and Ghost Ghosty, they, came to blows a little bit. Obviously, very, younger players then, more raw players than they are today, and it seems like they came to blows in challenges a fair bit. Scrappy didn't really rate the playstyle of Ghosty or what he was bringing to the table, so interesting just to hear that, and obviously, as Scrap says, resolve the situation, looking forward to play with him now, actually rate him as a player now, and to be fair, Ghosty took down Scrap at the World Cup, right, when it mattered for a lot of money, so I think Scrap has to respect what Ghosty is capable of. Then again, it's not like he played the best at the World Cup because maybe, no Papania or whatever, right? That was a talking point at the time. But it is interesting to see how that one will go. I love the storyline, you know how it is. So any storyline of like potential underlying tension is always going to be kind of interesting, but at the same time, we had a similar thought last year with Kenny and Dashy because they'd actually played together back in MW19 and they weren't the fondest of each other. Well, at least Kenny had problems with Dashy outside of the game at the time. And there was a question of whether that would repeat in OpTic Texas. Turns out it didn't because they changed as players and obviously it was absolutely fine. And I imagine the same thing will be true here for Scrap and Ghosty, but I suppose you never truly fully know. But very much interested in your thoughts, as ever, on all of this stuff in the comment section below. Shout out these boys, hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.